Today is the ultimate video editing, video shooting, video guide. Let's begin. What is one thing you can do to improve the quality of your videos? Use a tripod. Let's take a look at 3 possible ways to shoot the same scene. So today, I think I'm going to eat some cereal, and then I'm gonna go to the grocery store, and then I'm going to wash the dishes because it's the same thing I do every day. Today I'm going to eat some cereal, and then I'm gonna go to the grocery store and then wash the dishes because that's what I always do. Today I'm going to eat some cereal, then I'm gonna go to the grocery store, then I'm going to wash the dishes because that is what I do every single day. Actually, I don't eat cereal anymore, so I don't even know what I'm talking about. Okay, let's break down those 3 shots. So breaking it down in that first shot, I held the camera up like this, and I walked towards the kitchen and was talking about whatever I was talking about. See, this type of thing, that is not interesting to watch. The only people who can get away with that are extremely attractive people who you want to watch do anything. So, second shot. So the second shot, now we're using a tripod. This is better. You see, not everybody uses tripods for vlogs especially, so you're actually getting a very unique shot just by using a tripod, and it's much easier to watch because it's stable. So I walked around here, and then I went back for the tripod, and I moved it into the kitchen, and then I got another shot. Where did I put it at? Put it right here, talk to the camera, boom. So that's using a tripod, but obviously we can do better, and that was the third shot. This is where the work actually comes in, is that if you want to have shot variety, you actually have to take the time to do what I'm doing right now. Put the tripod like this. Get your first shot. Come back for the tripod. Then you set up your second shot. And this is all just a taste. This is what looks good to me. But shot variety makes it interesting to watch. So then I go back, turn the corner, and then I set up my next shot. I think I probably put it like right here or something. Walk around. We get the last shot, and this is where the work comes in. It's just simple stuff like taking your camera off of your tripod, putting it in here, pressing record, closing the door, opening, and then doing whatever stupid line that I just said. But I think the important thing to remember is that you gotta decide what you're making the video for. For me, when I make videos, I make them to be interesting, watchable, and like visually interesting. It's not just like a relay of information. So there's no reason not to get creative with your shots and change up the angle and do all sorts of interesting things visually. So I'm actually kind of cheating with this because I'm using a wireless microphone right now, because my second piece of advice for anybody who wants to improve their videos without doing a lot of work is get closer to the microphone. So I'll be demonstrating with the Rode VideoMic Pro. I think one of the misconceptions about this microphone is that somehow it will magically capture all of the sound. A shotgun microphone will shoot in one direction and just try to pick up sound from that one direction, but it can't work miracles. So let's see what the difference is with just a very simple getting closer to the microphone. Thomas Tan Pants loves turtles. Thomas Tan Pants loves turtles. Thomas Tan Pants loves turtles. Before you do anything else, the 2 most important things when making a video is that we need to be able to see what you're trying to show, and we need to be able to hear what you're trying to say. So as for how to do that audio editing I just did, that's much more advanced than we have time for here. Look up Curtis Judd on YouTube for all sorts of information on that. But just from a beginner standpoint, use a tripod, get close to the microphone, use a variety of shots. That's the simplest, easy, free thing you can do to improve the quality of your videos. Okay, and speaking of novices, what is the best software to start with that is cheap, easy, great to use? Sony Movie Studio 13, $31 on Amazon. There's a free trial that you can get right below it. I used Sony Vegas for years. It is a fantastic program. It'll get you started. It'll teach you all the basics. You can move up to Adobe Premiere later. But honestly, Vegas is fine. I could edit the vlog on Movie Studio. There's just like some keyboard shortcuts, which we will talk about later, that Premiere has that Vegas doesn't have. And while we're on the topic of gear for novices, here's what I tell everybody. Get a tripod, get this little $10 adapter, put your phone in it, attach it to the tripod, and boom, you've got a camera that anyone before the year 2000 would have killed for. Seriously, like this This camera is better than what they were shooting TV with up until like 2005, maybe? I don't know. I don't know the exact years. And second, while we're doing this shot, let's address my current camera's lack of a flip out screen. Let's talk about lighting for a second. So that last shot that I just got in this current one has the sun behind me. So there's a really bright background and a really dark subject. With a very simple twist, you can get the subject lit really well, which is just have the subject face the other way and put the camera on the other side. I'm not saying you need to do either way because they both have their stylistic advantages. Just keep in mind that you can always move the camera and use your natural light. That's another thing, is that videos are fake. Don't look at them as real. Like, everything is manufactured, everything is edited, everything is processed. So don't feel like you're devaluing the video by faking things. The whole video is fake. So shot composition. Obviously, while you're filming, it's really nice if you can actually look at what you're doing. If you see here, the camera that I'm looking at does not have a flip out screen anywhere. And if you're gonna be using your phone's back-facing camera, which is usually higher quality than the front-facing camera, you're gonna have this same problem. So the main remedy to this is to know your camera really well. If you're using a phone, it's gonna autofocus just fine. You don't have to do anything. But if you're using something like what I'm using, the Sony a7S II, this is how I've gotten around the problem. Hopefully Sony just makes a flip out screen. First off, I use autofocus on the camera and I use a very wide lens. This is the 16 to 35 millimeter lens, and when it's on 16 millimeters, it's a lot easier to just get yourself into the frame, okay? Because that's the first step, right? Is making sure that you're actually on camera, your whole head's there if that's what you're going for. Because when it's zoomed in like this, you have a lot smaller area to work with. So first, wide angle. That's the first thing you want to go for. Next, you have to know your camera really well. So first things first, you need to have it set on autofocus continuous. Then focus area. I'm gonna set it to wide. Then you need to go into the menu, page over to smile face detection, and make sure that is turned to on. So that is a very specific tip just for the Sony a7S II. That's not gonna get you all the way there. I could be out of focus right now, I have no idea, but it's gonna get you at least part of the way there. Next, let's talk real quick about settings for a DSLR or mirrorless camera. When you're shooting with any camera that has manual settings, you've got three options: shutter speed, aperture, and ISO. Each one of those affects the amount of light that enters the camera. Right now we're using a shutter speed of 1/50th of a second, an aperture of f11, and the ISO is set to auto, so I actually don't know what the ISO is right now. Let's just look at how each one affects the picture. First up is shutter speed. Do you see the natural motion blur in my hands? Let's move the shutter speed from 1/50th of a second, wow, that's hard to say, to 1/400th of a second. Notice how there's much less motion blur in my hands. That's because the sensor is being exposed to light for 1/400th of a second for every frame, as opposed to 1/50th. So right here, we're at f22. You can see that my face is more or less in focus, the background is more or less in focus. There's lots of stuff that's in focus. So now we have an aperture setting of f4. My face is still in focus, but the background is out of focus now. So shutter speed, aperture, and ISO, that's called the exposure triangle. How those three interact with each other is how you set your exposure. Depending on the type of shot you want, which is what we're about to get into, that's how you determine what you're gonna set. So boom, we have this beautiful landscape, right? What type of shot are you going for? If you're going for a landscape shot, maybe you do wanna go to like f14, because you want everything nice and focused. Boom, oh man, it looks beautiful, right? We got a shutter speed of 1/50th, the aperture is set to f14, and the ISO is on auto. Okay, but maybe you're going for something more stylistic or artistic. You just wanna have these pots in focus, but you want the background to be out of focus and give it that cinematic look. Right now we're at f11, so if we switch that to f4, you see that the trees in the background have gotten more out of focus. And then, this is probably not the best example, I should have done a better example, but we also can do things like zooming in. The more zoomed in your lens is, the shallower depth of field. For my storage solution, for the vlog and adventure archives, I use these 4 terabyte external hard drives that you can get for like $110 from Amazon. We got Western Digital. This Seagate one has 6 months worth of vlogs just on this one hard drive, and I get one whenever I fill it up. This right here was from my buddy Derek Liu, so I'm gonna mention him in just a bit later, but he sent this to me. This is his old Drobo, which is a RAID array that has a bank of 4 hard drives inside that will redundantly store any of your data. So if one of the hard drives dies, your data is still safe. I use this for all of my work stuff. So one of the next questions was, how do I do color grading? Do I do color grading? Do I use S-Log? What picture profile do I use? How do I address the difference in color between different cameras? The short answer is that I don't. Color grading is like my Achilles heel. I don't do it. The most we do is add saturation. So in the past, I had been using picture profile 2 for the vlog, but lately I've been experimenting with no picture profile and a -2 contrast, which is what this looks like. So I don't want to forever not have any color grading skills, but right now it doesn't interest me that much. I much prefer to just take what the camera gives me and make it. I like the kinetic flow of editing. That's the part of the process that is actually my favorite, is the interplay between music and visuals and sound and feel and composition. Like actually making the picture look really pretty. Don't get me wrong, I love people who do a good job color grading, but that part of the process, I'm not that knowledgeable on it, I'm not very good at it, so that process isn't very fun for me. If I knew more, it would be much more fun and I'd be more into it, but it also takes a lot of time. Okay, and as far as how do I deal with storage space issues, there's really just not much you can do. 4K files are big, there's nothing you can do about it, but these 4 terabyte hard drives, they stored 6 months of vlogs, which, by the way, let's talk about vlog folder sizes. So let's see, January 19th, 7 gigabytes. January 20th, 8.45 gigabytes, 7.8 gigabytes, 6.98 gigabytes, 28 gigabytes, 11.6 gigabytes, 19.9 gigabytes. So basically, it takes up a lot of space. There's not much you can do about it. Before I was buying hard drives to actually back up all of the files, I just kept the final file. And the final files are 1.5 gigabytes, 1.9, 1 gigabyte, 900 megabytes, 2.6 gigabytes, 2 gigabytes, 6 gigabytes, 2.7 gigabytes, 2.8 gigabytes. Not that many gigabytes. If I say gigabyte one more time, I'm gonna shoot myself. So there's some more questions, but let's get to the one that everybody wants to know. How do I edit? I think that was like the most asked question, is how do I edit? So remember I mentioned Derek earlier. Derek has a great blog where he lists 26 tips and tricks for Adobe Premiere. These can be applied to most editing programs. Read that, that goes really in depth on all the different things that I'm gonna show you right now. So let's re-edit part of yesterday's vlog to music. Let's do it. I'm gonna get very technical. I'm gonna take my time and I'm gonna actually explain everything I'm doing. So if you're just here to watch a vlog, skip ahead to the time on screen. For everybody else, continue watching. This is how I edit. So first off, I have Adobe Premiere open to a new project window. This is the first thing that it shows you when you open the program. In my editing folder, I organize and I do year, month, day so that it organizes nicely, and I put the day as well. So these are the video files that we'll be working with today. So we're gonna name this 2017.2.16 Thursday vlog. This is the layout that I have. Project window, program window, source window, timeline, effect controls. We're gonna take all the video clips that I filmed yesterday and put them in the project window. Importing files can take a few minutes or just a couple of seconds. Okay, all of my files are now into the project. I'm going to sort them by name, and I'm going to do descending order so that it starts with the first clip of the day at the bottom. I'm gonna take this clip and I'm gonna drag it into the timeline window. The reason I do it this way is because that will automatically set the timeline to have the correct settings for the video that you're using. Then I'm gonna rename that timeline to the final file name that I want the vlog to be. Okay, then I'm gonna rearrange these tracks so that it's easier to work with. So the video files are just visible. I'm going to expand audio 1 and audio 2. So if you'll notice, my left hand is in the WASD, first person shooter mode. Freddie W had a great talk where he talked about customizing your Adobe Premiere shortcuts to actually work to your advantage. So since I could do an entire video on shortcuts alone, I'm just gonna tell you what my shortcuts are, and you're gonna have to look up how to adjust your shortcuts. So first of all, you probably saw me zooming in and out. I have that set to Shift E to zoom in, Shift W to zoom out. That's so that I can quickly get around the timeline and then do whatever I need to do. So I have Q set to go to the previous edit point. So if I press Q, boom, it takes my timeline marker to the previous edit point. Press Q again, goes to the previous one. F goes forward. So Q and F, I can quickly jump through the timeline. Okay, zooming in and out, again, you guys can see that. So the next thing that I need to do is I need to get music. What I'll do is I'll edit to music. This is not how I do Adventure Archives, because Adventure Archives, we actually write the music. So it's a little bit different of a process. We kind of do a rough edit first, figure out what song goes to it, then put the song in, then do what I'm about to do right now. But what I usually use is the YouTube audio library. They have all sorts of tracks in here. I usually just do attribution not required, and I'll either randomly go through songs and just pick ones.
7, 6, 5, 4.
Otis McDonald is fantastic. He has a ton of great songs on here. Let's just use Otis McDonald's Behind Closed Doors. So I'm gonna take that file that I just downloaded and I'm going to move it into my folder so that when I back this up, it still has that file. You don't wanna leave it in the downloads folder. Drag it into the project and you can drag it directly to the timeline. I'm gonna put it in there and then boom. So once we're actually ready to start editing, we're gonna lock the music track. This is so that as I make cuts and do edits, it will not affect the audio and I can edit just to the music. So 2 very important shortcuts, maybe the most important shortcuts I ever learned for speed editing, is ripple trim to playhead. So I have that set to Shift S to ripple trim backwards and Shift space to ripple trim forward. Now what a ripple trim is, so first let's start editing this. Okay, let's play, let's see where we want it to start.
7, 6.
I have D to shuttle forward, S to stop shuttle, and A to shuttle backwards. Shuttle means that the more times you press it, the faster it goes. So if I press D once,
6, 5, 4, 3.
plays at normal speed. If I press D twice,
2, 1.
plays twice as fast. You can do that up to 3 times. So anyways, let's find where we want to start this edit at.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Okay, so we want it to start right when he gets into the frame. So the next shortcut is stepping forward and back 1 frame at a time. So what I use is Shift A to step backwards 1 frame and Shift D to step forward 1 frame. So we want to get it right as the hand is coming in. So what we could do is we could add an edit with X. Boom, we make a cut there. I could delete this. I have delete set to the tilde key, and then I could move this back to the beginning. Or I could select the empty space here, and I could delete that empty space, and it would pull this back to the beginning. Now, those are both fine. They will get the job done. But instead of doing all that rigmarole, I do a ripple trim to the previous edit point. That I have to Shift S. So I press Shift S. It does everything I just did, but in 1 step. So now I hit play.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, and let's just make it stylistic. So let's do a cut on every single time he says a number.
7.
And as we step through, we can hear the audio. So let's just make short jumps every time he says a number. So let's just go forward a few frames. I'm going to ripple trim, Shift S, to the previous edit point, and it's going to pull this back. So I'm going to do that for the next number. Make a cut, go forward a little bit, ripple trim backwards, go forward, make a cut, go forward, ripple trim, make a cut, forward, ripple trim, make a cut, forward, ripple trim, cut, ripple trim, cut. Okay, let's take a look at how that looks. I'm going to press F1. I have set to the same function as the home key, which will take us back to the very beginning of the video. I'm going to hit spacebar to play, hit play.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, just to be clear, I would never edit the video like that. That looked really stupid, but that's the process for doing something like that. Okay, so then next we need to go, let's listen to the music again.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
So this is the next cut. I'm sitting over here. Let's just pull this back with the Shift S. Let's look at it in context.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Okay, so that was supposed to be a match on action, I guess. Okay, but let's just show him putting on the jacket. Okay, I'm gonna make a cut right on there when he starts to say "you'll never." I'm gonna get that zipper for the next cut. And then let's do another cut on when he says never right there. And then let's get a cut. I'll turn this down a little bit. Let's get a cut right when he starts putting his foot in the shoe. I Shift S'd it back. Okay, so I really just wanted to show you how the Shift S and Shift D work. So Shift D will just delete everything forward like that. So let's undo that. If I had a cut right here and I wanted to delete this area of the clip and then pull everything back, I would hit Shift Space. See how that works? Okay, now let's just edit it. Sorry, this is kind of a bad example because I've already edited this, so I know how I had it before, so it's, I don't know. I'm just trying to show you basic techniques. Actual theory of how to make something look good, that's kind of more subjective, and you kind of just have to have your own taste of what you think looks good. I'm sure I have not addressed all of your questions. I'm sure you have many more questions. Please leave comments and I will further address those. I think the main thing is when you're editing, it's taste. It's like you have to edit to your own taste, whatever that taste may be. And then everything else is just editing tricks to make that faster. So here's what we'll do. Let's do a live stream. I will edit a video live with you guys being able to ask questions about what I'm doing, but I need your footage. So if you're interested in doing this, send me your clips through Google Drive. So upload them to Google Drive and give me a link, and I will download those clips and we can edit the video live on the stream, and we can set up a time for that. So if you're watching this, feel free to do that anytime. See, I want to make this like the ultimate video, but man, it takes a lot of thought to get everything in that you want to capture. And it'd probably be really long if I actually covered everything in depth. Maybe one day I'll do a super video and I'll actually storyboard and plan everything out. Good start. Remember I was saying I got the itch to buy something the other day? They've got sealed copies of F-Zero for $35. Well, this one's a little crushed, I think. Still, $35, man. I'd be okay with a box copy. And look, they've got 6 copies of F-Zero in the original shipping container. Have I talked about the fact that I literally have dreams where I go to Target and it's still the old layout when I was a kid, and they have boxes and boxes of Super Nintendo games in there? If you guys ever want to get me a gift, Super Nintendo games. I made a video of me dancing, but it turns out the music was copyrighted and it got blocked in the US. So I think most of you can't see it, but it's probably just as well. It has 7 views with 3 downvotes and 4 upvotes. Not terribly surprising, I guess. A little disappointing, but I thought it was fun. I'll figure out some way to get it back up later, maybe, or not. Thank you for watching today's vlog. Leave any questions if you have them as a follow-up to the video editing stuff. I'll see you later. So this oven mitt